let's talk about alternate picking and how you can get yourself to be playing twice as fast by the end of this video. There are three main things that you need to do if you want to increase your speed. Number one is going to be the angle and how deep you actually pick into the strings. So first, when you make contact with the strings, you want to ensure that your pick is not slapping the strings. What I mean by that is having it completely parallel to the strings. Rather, you want to tilt it slightly forward, maybe a 40 to 45 degree angle, just like this. The reason for this is if you have your pick slightly tilted, you'll glide across the strings rather than slap or hook on the strings. Next, and equally as important, is you want to graze the top of the strings with your pick like this. You do not want to push way past the strings down here and be pushing the strings like this or hooking on them. This will slow you down tremendously. So with our pick tilted and also keeping in mind that we're not going to push way down into the strings, picking should look like this. Very, very, very subtle. If your picking looks like this, then there's no chance you're gonna get to that lightning speed that you're looking for. Also, one more final tip with regards to picking is we want to try to pick away from the guitar. So our angle is actually gonna be like this, out and away from the guitar. Of course, it's a little bit dramatic for the example, but we don't want to be picking straight parallel to the guitar because that's how we get stuck on the strings. So rather, it should look like this. Point number two, which also has to do with the pick, is going to be our picking window. And what that means is how far do we actually move the pick before we decide to come back the other direction. An example of a very large picking window would look like this. Instead, we want to have a very small picking window, or as small as possible, which should look something like this. The moment that I cross the string, I'm going to change directions and cross right back as fast as I can. Now that we have the picking hand down, we're going to move to the fretting hand. And this is also just as important. I know we're talking about alternate picking, but you can't really alternate pick clean notes if your fretting hand is very slow or sloppy. So what we want to do is have very, very micro movements and try to be as efficient as possible with our fretting hand. An example of not being efficient would look like this. Lifting your fingers way away from the neck for quite literally no reason. This is going to slow you down. And where we're trying to play at lightning speed, every millisecond does count. So instead, you want to try and keep your movements as minimal as possible. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say it's super easy to do at high speeds, but it should look something like this. And if we put both hands together, it should look something like this. If you notice, I'm barely moving either hand. There's no reason to go for some crazy giant motion. It's gonna make you very sloppy, and of course, in that situation, I'm missing notes. But that's one of the things too, is your dexterity and accuracy. The further away you move your fretting hand, the harder it is to actually be accurate. So it's actually twice as beneficial to stay very close to the fretboard, because it's gonna make you faster and more accurate. And one final mental note for yourself is try not to let yourself fall into economy picking when you're going from one string to the next. So for example, downstroking every single time is time to switch strings. Something like this. You'll notice I'm doing 2 downstrokes in a row whenever I need to switch from one string to the next. Instead, we want to do alternate picking, which should look like this. It's down, up, down, up, down, up, down the entire time. It can be a little bit of a tongue twister for your brain or a brain scrambler, but once you get it down, you'll be substantially faster. To practice this, you're gonna wanna use 3 notes per string because it's one of the fastest ways to actually play. If you're trying to use this over the pentatonic scale, yes, it is possible, but using 2 fingers or 2 notes per string is always gonna be slower than having that 3rd note in there to really rip across the neck. I wanted to keep this video short and sweet and just try to get straight to the point, and hopefully I was able to do that for you guys. And if you did find this video helpful, please let me know down in the comments below.